So this is going to be another movie review. This one's called the V.I.P.s 1963. I hated this flick. Giving it 1 out of 5 stars. What a stinker. The V.I.P.s, also known as Hotel International, is a 1963 British comedy drama film in Metro Color and Panavision. What a waste of money this film was. I couldn't get into any of the characters. The only reason I got it was because it had Orson Welles in it. I didn't laugh a single time. I thought the jet set crowd was superficial and lame, super lame. There's no plot in this. It's just basically Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor prancing around the London Heathrow Airport with Louis Jordan trying to play Elizabeth Taylor like a fiddle. It's art imitating reality here. As, of course, Richard Burton married and divorced Elizabeth Taylor not once but twice. And I think Elizabeth Taylor had 4 husbands and 5 marriages. I think that's her record for Hollywood debauchery. It's on full display here. It's just basically about the London jet set crowd. Unbelievably boring and long. I had to do my own taxes today, and I didn't finish until 2 p.m. because I thought TurboTax was going to do the job. But it just started mucking up my taxes, just like my Block Advisors accountant was going to do. Just completely muck it up and overpay the government. So I found some decent software for what I was looking for. 1040 Now is the name of the company. And I was just able to plug in the numbers. It took a while to get the capital gains in, but I plugged in the numbers and I was done at 2 p.m. Then I was ready to take a nap. And I woke up and I started watching the V.I.P.s, and it was boring as heck. Kept getting distracted with other things. Rebecca hasn't called me back, so I guess she's not going to prance around with me and my son tomorrow. I haven't even told her that I have a son. Trying to play it slick here, but she might still call me in the morning. I have no idea what's going on. I give her my phone number. I said, "Hey, I'll be your chauffeur on Sunday." I don't think she likes the idea of going to church on back-to-back days, so that might be it. She probably doesn't have a veil and a dress for the Latin Mass. So it's complicated. And it's midnight. I woke up at 10 to finish, or 10:30 to finish off this movie. And man, it was a real stinker. It was directed by Anthony Asquith, produced by Anatoly de Grunwald, and distributed by Metro Goldwyn Mayer. The film was written by Terence Rattigan with the music score by Mikos Rosa. It has an all-star cast including Richard Burton, Elizabeth Taylor, Louis Jordan, Elsa Martinelli, Maggie Smith, Rod Taylor, Orson Welles, and Margaret Rutherford, who won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, as well as the Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actress, Motion Pictures. The costumes are by Pierre Cardin. The film is set within Terminal 3 of London Heathrow Airport during a fog. As flights are delayed, the V.I.P.s, very important people of the title, play out the drama of their lives in a number of slightly interconnected stories. The delays have caused serious hardship for most of the characters, and the delays have plunged some of them into deep personal or financial crisis. It's the 60s sexual revolution. Oh, brother. All right, production company, De Grunwald Productions, distributed by Metro Goldwyn Mayer. Release date September 2nd, 1963 in Manila, and September 4th, 1963 in London. Runtime of 119 minutes, way too long. Country UK, language English. A budget of $4 million or £1,071,314. At one point, Elizabeth Taylor says, or no, Elizabeth Taylor says it doesn't matter if it's in pounds or dollars. But at this point, it was a 4-to-1 ratio, I guess. Box office, $15 million in the US and Canada. So pretty decent box office take. They're trying to ducktail on Cleopatra here, which is a great flick. I love Cleopatra. I hate this movie. The central story concerns famed actress Frances Andros trying to leave her husband, millionaire Paul Andros, and to fly away with her suitor, Mark Champsell, who's nothing more than a professional gigolo. Because of the fog, Andros has the opportunity to come to the airport to persuade his wife not to leave him. Yeah, he threatens to commit suicide. I told my former coworker, some pagan Chinese girl, that I was in the midst of 2 failed marriages while I was working with her. And I wanted her more than anybody because I was just jumping from. At this point in my life, I was like dating 100 women and I didn't care. So I told her ex post facto that I wanted to commit suicide when I realized that I couldn't have her. And then when I was looking for a place, she told me to look up Craigslist, which is actually how I got this Fleabag hotel room indirectly. The case manager at St. Vincent de Paul actually found the Uh, Found the link on Craigslist. I was too skeptical of Craigslist. I thought the prices were too high, but actually, it turned out that this price for this room fit in my budget, and I am expecting to get a pretty decent refund for tax refund for both state and federal within the next 3 weeks. I think I'm getting it $1,100. So I'm pretty psyched about that. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked here. The Duchess of Brighton is on her way to Florida to take a job. This is the old lady. I don't recognize her from any other movies, but she might have been in some. Let's see. English actress of stage, films, and television. I don't know who this Margaret Rutherford is. I'm drawing a blank. I don't remember her in any movies, but I could have seen her. I'll have to go back and look that up. Let's see. Margaret Rutherford. I don't see anything on here. Hmm. Chimes at midnight. That looks. Yeah, I'm looking at her filmography and I can't find anything. She's completely new to me. I don't know who this person is. And she got an Oscar. All right, the Duchess of Brighton is on her way to Florida to take a job, which will pay her enough money to save her historic home. Meanwhile, film producer Max Buda, played by Orson Welles, is a total goofball. Are you serious? Max Buda needs to leave London, taking his newest protege, Gloria Gritti, with him, some kind of 60s model, by midnight if he is to avoid paying a hefty tax bill. the only the only character I had that had my that I could sort of relate to was Max Buda. Trying to avoid taxes. That's what I've been trying to do all week. Les Magram, an Australian businessman, must get to New York City to prevent his business from being sold. His dutiful secretary, Miss Mead, is secretly in love with him. This is like Marge and James Stewart in Vertigo. It being a matter of great urgency, she decides to approach Paul Andros and ask him to advance a sum of money that will save Magnum's company. So, if I understand correctly, Richard Burton is taking over Les Magram's company, and he's just going to write a blank check so that the sale doesn't go through. I don't know what's going on here. It makes absolutely no sense, but none of this movie does. Even the Max Buddha character is kind of annoying and stupid, although he does have good intentions. Buddha spots a poster picturing the Duchess's home. She is offered a sum of money if she will permit Buddha to use it as a location in a film enough to keep the house she loves. All right. And I think I spoiled the ending with the suicide note, but according to a biography of Radigan, the idea of the film originated with the writer's experience of a flight delay due to fog at London airport. And one of the storylines is drawn from the true story of actress Vivian Leigh's attempt to leave her husband, actor Laurence Olivier, for the actor Peter Finch. But Leigh got trapped in the VIP lounge at Heathrow due to fog. So the script is based on Vivian Leigh and Sir Laurence Olivier and Peter Finch. Ah, not Elizabeth Taylor, Louis Jordan, and Richard Burton, although it probably played out like a real life drama during Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton's two failed marriages. Amazing. I think Elizabeth Taylor takes the cake for most debauched marriages in the history of Hollywood. Anyway, Asquith intended for Sophia Loren to play Taylor's role. Oh, that would have been interesting. Remembering the box office success of The Millionaires 1960, he did with Loren in the main role. However, Taylor, scared by the appeal Loren had for Burton, persuaded Asquith to hire her instead. You see the jealousy and conceit played out here. Let Sophia stay in Rome, she told him. Taylor's fee was $1 million or 357,143 pounds. This was the first time Australian actor Rod Taylor had played an Australian character on film. Terence Radigan allowed him to Australianize some of the dialogue. Stinger Davis, Rutherford's husband, appears in a tiny role as a sympathetic hotel waiter in a scene with her. Raymond Austin, a stuntman and a friend of Burton, appears in the film as Andros's driver. Television personality David Frost plays a reporter interviewing the V.I.P.s at the airport. The film was shot entirely at MGM British Studios before Hamwood Hertz, and a few establishing shots filmed at what was then known as London Airport, later Heathrow. The terminal set was one of the largest ever constructed in the UK. Oh, Adrian's in the chat room. He made it. Chinese honey again. You look tired, mate. Elizabeth Taylor married, divorced twice with Burton. Yeah. Well, I'm taking little nappy poos all day after doing my taxes. Sorry for the delay in getting the reviews in, but I'll squeeze another one in soon. It's only a 20-minute YouTube clip that got moved over to form.org. Anyways, the Adrian's in the chat room. This is pretty cool. Where's Karate Man? Terra Incognita. He keeps Karate Man keeps recommending the speaking of airports, Karate Man keeps recommending to me the um, airplane, the airplane franchise from the 80s, which I wasn't a big fan of. Don't Call Me Shirley and the poop will hit the fan. The first movie was funny. The second movie was just rubbish, as Adrian would say. Anyways, this film we're talking about, the V.I.P.s, the film had a dual theater premiere in Manila in the Philippines on September 2nd, 1963. The film opened September 4th, 1963 at the Empire Land uh, Lee, Lee Empire Leicester Square in London and in other towns and cities in the UK following the day or the following day. It opened September 13th, 1963 at the Paramount Theater in Hollywood and on September 19th, 1963 at Radio City Music Hall in New York City. Critical reaction to the film was mixed. It nevertheless did extremely well at the box office, helped by the enormous publicity attached to Burton and Taylor's Cleopatra, which was out on release. Now, Cleopatra is a much superior movie to this. I recommend you skip this and watch Cleopatra. In its first week at the Empire Leicester Square, it grossed a house record $30,114. It also set house records in most cinemas in the UK outside London in its first week. In its first week of release, before it had opened in the US, it had grossed $1,337,000 from 172 theaters in 86 cities of 30 countries. The film was one of the 12 most popular films in Britain in 1963. In the US and Canada, it grossed $15 million, earning $7.5 million in the US theatrical rentals on a budget of $4 million. It had admissions of 765,804 in France. Alexander Walker of London's Evening Standard was critical of the film and said, "It's an entire British museum of prehistoric cliches and burial mound characters." I'll agree with that. Bosley Crowther of the New York Times praised the V.I.P.s as a lively, engrossing romantic film. What's romantic about it? you've got um, you've got the love triangle going. The You've got the Australian dude's secretary trying to make a move on him, and I don't know. The always serviceable pattern of the old multi-character Grand Hotel and some of the other people in it are even more exciting than the top two stars. Louis Jordan, for instance. Oh, I can't stand that guy. Variety called it a smooth and cunning brew with most of the ingredients demanded of popular screen entertainment. Lamestream. It has suspense, conflict, romance, comedy, and drama. Its main fault is that some of the characters and byplots are not developed enough, though their problems are interesting enough to warrant separate picks. I didn't even realize there was a plot in this movie. Okay. I learned something new. But that is a risk inevitable in any film in which a number of strangers are flung together, each with problems and linked by single circumstance, fog. Philip K. Schur of the Los Angeles Times wrote, they can say it's in the tradition of MGM's Grand Hotel and Dinner at 8, neither of which I've seen. All they want, to me, it's grounded high and mighty. And I do mean grounded not only at London Airport, but in the writing, directing, and some of the acting as well. Okay, I'll take his word for it. Richard R. L. Coe of the Washington Post called it very good fun, sleek, adroit, and enjoyable. The Monthly Film Bulletin wrote, the V.I.P.s is a pretty little cinematic souffle that melts in the mind, but its flavor is spicy and sweet. I think the flavor is sour. The team of Asquith, de Grunwald, and Radigan later produced another Pontmateau film, the Yellow Rolls Royce, 1964. Robert Murphy disapproved of both films, remarking that Asquith spent his last years making increasingly banal prestige productions like the V.I.P.s and the Yellow Rolls Royce. I don't even know this Asquith character. Okay. Another lamestream director who likes 60s jet set, I guess. There's nothing in this film that's redeeming, no nudity. You see Elizabeth Taylor in a nightie with all her makeup, and you're going like, get that goop off your face, Elizabeth Taylor. You look better as Cleopatra than you do as some kind of uh, corporate multinational corporation. Richard Burton's wife. Richard Burton's in charge of this multinational corporation. It's a so-called monopoly that's gobbling up the Australians, dude's business. So he just writes him a blank check and says, "Here, you can have your company back." Anyways, Academy Awards, Best Supporting Actress, Margaret Rutherford won. British Academy Film Awards, Best Cinematography Color, Jack Hildyard nominated. Golden Globes Awards, Best Supporting Actor Motion Picture, Margaret Rutherford won. Most Promising Newcomer Female, Maggie Smith nominated. I thought Maggie Smith did a decent job in this one. I'll give her credit for that. Laurel Awards, Top Female Supporting Performance, Margaret Rutherford won. National Board of Review Awards, Best Supporting Actress, Margaret Rutherford won. So Margaret Rutherford won 4 awards from 4 different awarding organizations here. Academy Awards, British Academy Film Awards, Laurel Awards, and National Board of Review Awards. Slightly ahead of the film's release, as was custom of the era, a paperback novelization of the screenplay was published by Dell Books. The author was renowned crime and Western novelist Marvin H. Albert, who also made something of a cottage industry out of movie tie-ins. He seems to have been the most prolific screenplay novelizer of the late 50s through mid 60s. And during that time, the prominent specialist at light comedy, though he adopted a few drama scripts as well. The V.I.P.s is what's known as an inferred novelization, because although screenwriter Terence Rattigan is not giving attribution anywhere on or in the book, the copyright is assigned to Metro Goldwyn Mayer. Whether this omission was an editorial error or a marketing ploy to make Albert's novels seem to be the film's source material, with or without the complicity of Rattigan, is unknown. The film theme, the film's theme music was used as the intro to the Flemish children's television series Johan en de Alverman. All right. Let's go to IMDb, see what it says. The V.I.P.s, 1963, 1 hour, 59 minutes, way too long. Gets a whopping 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb, 4,600 ratings. As fog delays departure for a group of travelers bound for New York City. They wait at the lounge of London's Heathrow Airport, each passenger at a moment of crisis in his or her life. As if I really care about these Hollywood goofballs. Orson Welles had the most sympathetic character, and I still didn't care. A handful of characters study set at Heathrow Airport. That's the name of the review on IMDb. From Nazi fighter David, dated January 17th, 2009. Nazi fighter David gives it a higher rating, 7 out of 10. I'm only giving it a 2 out of 10. If I could, I'd give it a 0 out of 10. Much of the action focused on a romantic triangle involving a pampered wife, a wealthy husband, and a penniless playboy lover. Liz, once again, is the neglected wife comforting herself with the lover, Jordan. When the destitute husband is threatened by his wife's departure, who has given her diamonds instead of affection, Burton shows he cares. Yeah, right. Probably lasted for about 15 minutes in the car. Liz, unyielding, however, wants him to suffer. Of course she does. She's a vindictive bitch. Taylor's performance is cool and serene. It is? I thought it was manipulative and a bunch of feminazi BS. Her face undisturbed by normal human expression. Her face has too much goop on it, you mean? Playing an instigator of male insecurity, she is, for a change, altogether lovely to look at. I think she looked lovelier in Cleopatra. Maggie Smith plays the trusty secretary in love with her Australian boss, Rod Taylor. Orson Welles' arrogant character provides the comic relief. I wasn't laughing, sorry. He's too much of a goofball. Margaret Rutherford won a Best Supporting Oscar for her delightful role as the eccentric elderly Duchess. She won 4 awards. But I guess the Oscar is the only one that counts, according to Nazi fighter David. More like this inadmissible Evidence, Doctor in Love, no love for Johnny and the House on the Moon. I have no interest in watching any of those. Waiting in London's waiting in London's Heathrow Airport for a flight to New York City, Frances Andros, Dame Elizabeth Taylor, seen off by her tycoon husband Paul Andrews, Richard Burton plans to leave him for aging international playboy Mark Champsell, Louis Jordan. Les Magnum, Rod Taylor, a self made Australian businessman, accompanied to the airport by his loyal secretary, Miss Mead. Dame Maggie Smith must be in New York City the following day to arrange the loan that will help him repel a hostile takeover of his tractor company. Max Buda, or Orson Welles, a movie mogul traveling with starlet Gloria Gritty, Elsa Martinelli, must get out of England immediately or face ruinous British income tax. Okay, Orson Welles is trying to escape the British tax authorities. You'd think that would be something that he's against, him being an FDR leftist, but I guess he's playing the greedy white male swine of a capitalist pig here. And I do mean he looks like a pig. The Duchess of Brighton, Dame Margaret Rutherford, has taken a job as a hostess at the U.S. hotel holiday resort, thinking she will be able to keep her family estate on her new income. Fog descends, blurring the future for them all and forcing them to wait in the airport hotel for morning and fair weather. That's the storyline from Alfie Hitchie on IMDb. This is the story of one dramatic, devastating night in the glamorous private world of the very rich, the very famous, the very beautiful, the very powerful, the very important persons. Genre drama based on a true story. The movie was a thinly disguised account of screenwriter Terence Rattigan's real life friend, Vivian Leigh's attempt to leave her husband, Sir Laurence Olivier, for Australian actor Peter Finch. So Vivian Leigh had many male friends. Leigh and Finch made it to London's Heathrow Airport, but their plane was delayed by incoming fog, giving Olivier time to confront the two and escort Leigh home. After several hours of the fog delay, she had abandoned the plan. I don't know if it did any good. The Duchess is escorted to room 509 by the page. In her next scene, with no explanation, she is back in the lobby dozing on the sofa. Max Buda is quoted, "They're playing cards watching," by a reporter. "Not that one, that one." Gloria Gritty, "How do you know what is in my hand?" Max Buda, "Because I know what is in your head." Gloria Gritty, "So I have nothing in my head." Max Buda to the reporter, "Don't quote that." Gloria Gritty, "Well, I give you something you can quote. From Tiempo, the movie critic, it said Gloria Gritty is an actress whose talent is equal to her intelligence." Max Buda says, "How unkind. Gin, I think." This was featured in Seven Nights to Remember, 1966. All right. Frequently asked questions. How long is the V.I.P.s? And the V.I.P.s, the screenplay, how did it come about? I think we already answered those. So moving along, we'll reiterate some more details here. Release date September 19th, 1963 in the US. Country of origin UK. Languages English and Italian. Also known as Hotel International. Filming locations Heathrow Airport, the Compass Center, Nelson Road, Hounslow, Greater London, England, UK. Production companies Metro Goldwyn Mayer, also known as MGM, and De Grunwald Productions. Estimated budget of $4 million. I think the box office was 15 million, if I remember correctly. Runtime 1 hour 59 minutes, 119 minutes too long. It's in color, and the aspect ratio is 2.35 to 1. Now let's go down my list. We've got number 1, TV Story 2018. Number 2, The Child 1977. And number 3, The Panther's Claw 1942. So I got my work cut out for me on Monday, President's Day. I've got to study that religious class that I'm going to on Tuesday night with my son. Hopefully that won't take too long and I can boogie down my list. It's been taking me forever to get through this list, but I will watch TV Story right now, and I'll do another review if Adrian wants to come back to the chat room. I think he got bored and he left. But I'll be back in a minute to do TV Story laters.